this is Elizabeth. I'm a graduate student in the Communication Disorders Department. Today I will be sharing with you all some of my knowledge on dysphagia. Dysphagia is defined as the inability to swallow. The act of swallowing is completed in 4 phases. These are the oral preparatory phase, the oral transit phase, the pharyngeal phase, and the esophageal phase. When you see a dysphagia patient, their inability to have a normal swallow may be due to a dysfunction in any of these phases. So the first thing you do when you get a dysphagia patient is you take down their case history, you look at their medical chart to see if there are any underlying medical diagnoses that may be causing their inability to swallow. You also do a bedside swallow examination. And if throughout these evaluations you see any signs or symptoms, then you should do further testing. An important sign or symptom of dysphagia is aspiration, and aspiration happens when the patient swallows material such as a solid or liquid and it goes below the true vocal folds and into the airway. And this is bad because it can cause something called aspiration pneumonia, which can be very dangerous for the patient. So if you need to do further testing, you should do the instrumental examination called a video fluoroscopy. And a video fluoroscopy will show you the physiology of the patient's swallow. And once you have the results from this video fluoroscopy, you will be able to determine where the dysfunction is, and you'll also be able to create an appropriate therapy plan for your patient, and this therapy plan should be implemented as soon as possible. It is important to remember that the main goal for the patient is to maintain their nutrition and to improve their swallow function. So if the patient is having difficulty swallowing solids, you may want to change the food consistency from a solid to a pureed form, or if they are having difficulty with liquids, you may want to thicken their liquids. And so if the patient does need a diet change, it is important to figure out the correct consistency to use for your patient, and you can do this by following the IDDSI standards. So here we have the IDDSI chart. IDDSI stands for International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative. This chart depicts the classification and testing measures for food and drinks for the adult and pediatric populations. So this chart does look very complex at first glance, but once you go over it, it does get a little easier to understand. So for the foods, we have 5 levels. We'll start with the lowest level, which is level 3, and this level, the consistency of the food is liquidized. For testing information measures, you need to know that in this level, you won't have less than 8 millimeters remaining in the syringe after 10 seconds of flow. The material will drip slowly and dollops through the prongs of a fork. For food consistency, it can be eaten with a spoon or drunk from a cup. It cannot be eaten with a fork because it slowly drips through, and you will need a lot of effort to drink this through a wide straw. For level 4, which is a pureed, for testing measures, you need to know that this material will sit on a mound or pile above the fork, and it does not dollop or drip continuously through a fork. You'll be able to hold, or the material will be able to hold its shape on a spoon. It does fall off easily if the spoon is tilted or slightly flicked. It must not be firm or sticky. The food consistency, it will be smooth with no lumps. It won't be sticky. No chewing is needed, and it can be eaten with a spoon. Level 5 is the minced and moist level. For testing measures, you need to know that you'll need a 4 millimeters lump size for adults and 2 millimeters lump size for babies and children. It holds its shape on a spoon, and it falls off easily if the spoon is tilted or lightly flicked. It must not be firm or sticky. The food consistency, it is very soft. It is small, moist lumps. You'll need to have the ability to be able to do some minimal chewing. For level 6, this level, it is soft and bite-sized. For the testing information, you need to know that the pieces are no bigger than 1.5 by 1.5 centimeters in size for adults and 8 millimeters by 8 millimeters for babies and children. You'll be able to push down on the food piece with a fork. The sample should squash completely and not regain its shape. The food consistency, it'll be soft and bite-sized. It'll be tender and moist throughout with no thin liquid leaking or dripping from the food. You will need some chewing ability. So there are 2 different consistencies for level 7, which is the highest consistency. And level 7, you'll have the food consistency that is easy to chew. And these foods are normal, everyday foods of soft, tender textures only, and that are developmentally and age appropriate. These foods do require biting and chewing ability. So for the regular consistency, the foods, these are normal everyday foods of various textures that are developmentally and age appropriate. You do need biting and chewing ability as well. So if we go down to the bottom left portion, it says food test instructions. So when you do the test for the food that will be level 7, it'll be easy to chew. You'll be able to cut it with a fork. When you do the thumbnail, the force with a fork on the food, the thumbnail will turn white, and when you remove the fork, there will be no residue on the fork. For level 6, which is soft and bite-sized, you will do the same thing, which create pressure with the fork on the food until your thumbnail blanches white. You'll remove the fork, and you should not have any residue on the fork, depending on what the food is. So for level 5, which is minced and moist, you have to remember that it should be 4 millimeters for adults and 2 millimeters for children. When you scoop it up with a fork, there should not be any dripping, and when you do it with a spoon, it will be able to fall off easily from the spoon, as well as with the pureed. You'll be able to pick up the food and there will not be anything spilling. It'll be able to pile above the fork, and when you get it with a spoon, it'll be able to fall off easily from the spoon. So now if we go up to the instructions for the food testing, for the transitional food testing, you will need a syringe. You'll need to add 1 millimeter of water to 1.5 centimeters by 1.5 centimeters sample of the food, and then you wait 1 minute. Then you'll complete the IDDSI fork pressure test, and this is where you get the fork and you put pressure on the food until your thumbnail blanches white. Now we'll go to the bottom right portion where it discusses the drinks and liquids. So for the drinks and liquids, we also have 5 levels. We'll start off with level 0. Level 0 is a thin consistency. For testing information, in this consistency, you will have less than 1 millimeter remaining in the syringe after 10 seconds of flow. The liquid or the drink will flow like water, and it flows easily through any straw. Or if you're doing this test on an infant, it will flow easily through the nipple. In level 1, this is slightly thick consistency. For the testing, you'll have 1 to 4 millimeters remaining in the syringe after 10 seconds of flow. The consistency of the liquid will be thicker than water, and it can flow through a standard straw, or in a baby's case, the nipple. For level 2, which is mildly thick, you'll have 4 to 8 millimeters remaining in the syringe after 10 seconds of flow. The drinks or liquids will be sippable from a cup, but you'll need effort to drink this through a standard straw, or in a baby's case, nipple. Level 3 is the moderately thick consistency. Here you'll have no less than 8 millimeters remaining in the syringe after 10 seconds of flow. It drips slowly and dollops through the prongs of a fork. This consistency is the same as the liquidized consistency of food. So the liquid or drink, you will need effort to drink this through a straw. For level 4, which is extremely thick consistency, in this level, the material will sit on a mound or pile above the fork. It does not dollop or drip continuously through a fork. It holds its shape on a spoon, and it falls off easily if the spoon is tilted or lightly flicked. It must not be firm or sticky. This level is again the same as level 4 pureed. So for this level, the liquid or drink will not have any lumps, it won't be sticky, you won't need to chew it, and it can be eaten with a spoon. So for the instructions to do the testing for the liquids, you'll need a syringe, a 10 millimeter syringe. So you'll remove the plunger and you'll add in water until it fills up to 10 millimeters. While doing that, you'll have to cover the nozzle at the bottom. You'll then release the nozzle and start a timer, and you'll stop the timer at 10 seconds. Here we have some brownies and some jello and some water and a syringe. So before we do the transition of the food, we can see that the brownies are probably about a level 7 because they would be easy to chew, and the jello is about a level 6 because, as you can see, it falls right off of the spoon. So now, to do the transition of the food, we will put 1 milliliter of water into the brownie. And another milliliter of water into the jello. And then we wait a minute. This is what it looks like for the brownies and the jello after waiting a minute. And we're gonna go ahead and do the fork test. So put a fork, squish it. I already have squished it. And this probably looks like a level 5 because it's nice and moist. If I go with the spoon, Jello, we said it was a level 5 before, and now, after putting the water, it looks like a level 4, which is Parade, so it'll fall right off. It's not exactly liquid, but it's much softer than level 5. I will be linking a video down in the description box, and the video will show you guys how to thicken liquids. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video and learned a lot from it. Bye!